The workouts that make mountain goats weep. Welcome to the nightmare-inducing, cardiac tremor-inducing world of Zone 5 intervals a la Tadej Pogačars, where dreams go to suffer, legs go to cramp, and team doctors go to Google to say, quote, how to talk your star athlete out of a mission disguised as training. Yeah, this, ladies and gentlemen, is how Tadej Pogačars shocked his doctors. Here's the general shape of a Tadej, quote, I just wanted a small aerobic boost workout. Warm-ups 30 minutes, including 3 times 2 minutes of Zone 4 efforts, because Tadej thinks it's funny to start with threshold work. Main set will be 6 times 5 minutes intervals at 120% of his FTP on a 7% climb at 2,200 meters altitude. His power will be about 490 to 500 watts. Yes, you read that right. Recovery between efforts will be a generous 2 minutes at 200 watts. Breathing, well, like a dying vacuum cleaner stuck in a sandstorm. These intervals are done on a not exactly a flat course, let's put it that way. It's not really a flat or peaceful road with chirping birds. Instead, he likes to do these Zone 5s on Mount Tadej, Sierra Nevada, or whatever vertical death trap Pogačars wakes up craving. Apparently, Tadej thinks it's important that gravity and oxygen both have a vendetta against him during the Zone 5 workouts. And, as if this wasn't exactly absurd enough to you, sources close to UAE Team Emirates say that he sometimes insists on doing these efforts after 3 hard days of long Zone 3 rides. Why? Because he believes that fatigue makes the heart grow stronger, or explode, whichever comes first. Let's be clear, normal pros avoid back-to-back VO2 max efforts like they avoid interviews about watts per kilo. Pogačars, he stacks them like pancakes on a Sunday morning, except there's no syrup, just pain. The stats that made a team doctor cry in Spanish. Let's dive into the cold, hard numbers. The training files that make power meters beg for mercy, and team doctors involuntarily whisper, Madre de Dios, when reviewing him. Key metrics from a typical Zone 5 day. Peak 5-minute power, 502 watts, confirmed by UAE staff via Pro Cycling Stats. Average heart rate during intervals, 192 beats per minute. Peak heart rate, 198. Blood lactate levels post-interval, 13.2. O2 saturation at altitude during efforts, 82%. Core body temperature, 39.1 degrees Celsius. Recovering heart rate after 2 minutes, still 160 beats per minute. Let's break that down like a panicked intern reading his data on training peaks. 198 beats per minute at 2,200 meters altitude is not training, that's exorcism. 13.2 for a lactate reading, that's the metabolic equivalent of your legs asking for euthanasia. Anything above 10 is considered extreme. Tadej just, lives there. 82% oxygen saturation is what people get in hospital beds with tubes in their noses. Pogačars hits it with a smile and a GoPro. The team's internal Slack channel, source, someone with access, and too little restraint, reportedly had this message from a performance analyst. Quote, this can't be right. Either the device is broken or he's become a horse. How the doctors measure the madness and survive the shock. Now, here's where the story takes a turn into the realm of comedy-horror. UAE Team Emirates sports science team isn't just watching Tadej's heart rate from afar and hoping for the best. No, they've gone full lab coat. They accompany him to altitude camps armed with gadgets that cost more than a small car and a medical license worth of liability stress. A typical monitoring session consists of continuous ECG heart monitoring to make sure he's not entering heart explosion territory, portable lactate analyzer called the Lactate Pro 2. They prick his finger after each interval to watch the number climb into "is he okay?" territory. Pulse oximeter clipped to his finger to see just how little oxygen he's getting. Sweat sodium patch to track how much salt he's losing. Spoiler, it's a lot. Core temperature pill, a literal ingestible thermometer so they know how close he is to cooking his insides. Team doctor, Dr. Adrian Rotuno, real UAE doc, source UAE team website, was once overheard saying, quote, "We do all the biomarker testing during his Zone 5 rides, but sometimes we don't want the results. It's like watching a horror movie with your fingers over your eyes." In one documented case, source Velo News 2024 training camp feature, Pogačars' post-interval lactate spiked so high, the team double-checked the analyzer. It was correct. The machine wasn't broken. He was just metabolizing like a chainsaw. What even is Zone 5 and why is Tadej living there? Let's back up and talk about Zone 5, the mythical land of aerobic purgatory. What is Zone 5? Zone 5, also known as a VO2 max training, is the domain of 90 to 100% of max heart rate, usually held for intervals of 3 to 6 minutes. It's a kind of effort where talking becomes impossible, breathing sounds like you're auditioning for a death metal band, and your body politely asks why you are doing this to it. This zone improves maximal oxygen uptake, lactate clearance, mental toughness, the ability to suffer and still smile like a psychopath on camera. Now for most riders, Zone 5 is the final boss of interval training. You visit it like a haunted house, rarely, cautiously, and preferably with a buddy. Tadej, however, has built a summer home there. A normal pro might hit Zone 5 once or twice a week, for 3 to 4 reps maximum, with full recovery on flat terrain. Tadej, well, he does 6 to 8 reps, sometimes more, on 6 to 8% climbs at altitude with partial rolling recovery after 3 days of hell rides. It's like ordering a pizza and asking the chef to put it in the oven for twice the time while replacing cheese with molten lava. Quotes and reactions that prove this isn't normal. If you think this all sounds exaggerated, congratulations, you are rational. But sadly, it's all based on real accounts, training files, interviews and reactions from the people closest to Tadej. Yogson Maxin, UAE team manager, said, quote, "He pushes himself beyond what we would recommend. He listens, but then he still does a bit more." So yes, even the guy who pays him and organizes the team is saying, yeah, he ignores us. Dr. Adrian Rotuno said, quote, "We've had to step in and adjust his training because some of his metrics were outside human norms." Imagine being the team doctor and watching your golden goose cook himself alive, then apologize for not doing more intervals. Mark Soler, quote, "I tried to follow him in training once during his intervals. I lasted 2 reps, then I just turned around and went to find a bakery." We feel you, Mark. Not all heroes wear heart rate monitorers. Anonymous performance analyst, quote, "We ran his heart rate variability after a Zone 5 session and the system flagged it as, quote, alert cardiac arrest. We thought it was a mistake. Then we checked again. No mistake. So yes, even the computers are scared." Tadej Pogačar himself said, quote, "I like suffering. I think it makes me feel more alive." He said this at the GO magazine interview 2023. Quote, "Sometimes I do the intervals without a power meter just by feel. It's more honest." Yes, he's out here doing Zone 5 blind just because he feels like it. That's like skydiving without checking your parachute. Quote, "Feels more authentic." Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching today's video. Feel free to comment down below your opinions in the comment section. Can we get 2,000 likes in today's video? And also subscribe to my channel if you're new here. If you subscribe, you'll stay up to date with all of the latest cycling news, cycling drama, and cycling results.